So in today's video, I want to talk about one of the factions that's beloved by the community and by me equally, the ORCS. Both spelled with a C and a K, and they're actually in both settings, Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k. They're known as the Green Boys, but no matter how you spell it, they are chaotic, hilarious, and shockingly powerful. Whether you're in the grim darkness of the far future or the brutal world of Warhammer Fantasy, Orcs are easily one of the most beloved factions. They are feared and meme-worthy. So let's kick things off with some of the basics of the Orcs. In Warhammer Fantasy, Orcs, again spelled with a C, not with a K, big difference, are part of the Greenskin Horde, a brutal, unruly swarm of muscle, iron, and teeth that just loves a good scrap. They're one of the only things they hate more than other races is each other. It's a society built off fighting, where the strongest always rise to the top, literally by smashing their competition. However, in Warhammer 40k, they're not much difference. We get Orcs with a K. Yes, they're spelled differently by one letter. A delightful twist on the sci-fi savage. They're not just brutes, they're a fungal-based species genetically engineered for war. They were actually, lore-wise, they were made by the same race that made the Eldar, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. However, they live for the violence. But there's a comedy to it. It's like if Mad Max was in space, but also directed by Monty Python. It's a lovable bunch. They're basically just a bunch of space hooligans with guns powered by belief. Yes, they're literally powered by the belief in themselves. Their technology works because they think it works. Yes, you heard me right. They literally fly on asteroids because they think the asteroid can fly. And that's why they fly. It's insane, but it's also genius. Unlike the overly grim or tragically serious factions, the Orcs and ORCS bring a ton of personality. You've got endless jokes, crude logic, and a very British kind of sarcasm that runs through their lore and rules. They aren't just comic relief, however, though. They're chaotic, neutral, personified. Orcs don't care about chaos. They don't need the Emperor. They just want a good fight. That's purity of purpose, if I've ever seen it. And they do it for the love of the game. Think about that. The only reason why this faction still exists in the grimdark future and in Warhammer Fantasy is because of the love of the game. Okay? Think about that for a second. And in Fantasy, you've got shamans exploding their own heads by casting spells. Snotlings flinging themselves into battle, and squigs, actual bouncing mouths with legs. Come on, who doesn't love a squig? The lore is the chef's kiss. Let's take Grimgor Ironhide, for example, the baddest war boss in the old world, some might say. He punched his way into legend by challenging the ever-chosen himself and living to tell the tale. Or Gazgul Thraka, the self-proclaimed prophet of Gork and Mork, who's basically a green space Stalin leading crusades across the stars. Think about that for a second. The gods themselves, Gork and Mork, represent cunning brutality and brutal cunning. They're both violent, but one's slightly more clever about it. That's the heart of the faction. Unpredictable, unstoppable, and hilarious. Even though Wa isn't just a war cry, it's actually a psychic phenomenon, an orc-wide resonance that amplifies their power when enough of them are gathered. It's literally weaponized hype. They basically have a bunch of hype men. That is basically their army. And then they get buffed when there's a bunch of hype men. It's kind of crazy. I know. This is why they're loved, folks. They sound fun, but are they good in game? Well, simply put it, they're good in game because you think they're good in game. Yeah, that's right. And even when they're bad, they're not bad because you think they're great. Think about that for a second. Orcs bring Daka, mobility, and sheer volume in the tabletop Warhammer 40k game, You can roll up to 60 plus dice in one single shooting phase and just pray to Gork it works. Just understand that you're gonna hit all your shots. Okay. The randomness is part of the charm. One turn you're wiping out elite Marines with Grod guns, and the next you're blowing yourself up with a shot attack gun. It's madness, but it's your madness. In fantasy or in Total Warhammer, because there's actually a video game as well, you get brutal infantry, trolls, giants, and surprisingly clever tactics if you know how to use your leadership mechanics right. And of course you do, because you think you do. Again, that's the name of the game. You are the #1 hype man in the game. Shout out Goblin Gang and Clash Royale. Now, Squig Herds are anti-everything nightmares, and Black Orcs are absolute tanks. Unless you're playing Scarsnake, you get Black Orcs. Or if you are playing Scarsnake, you just have to have Carrick 8 Peaks under your control in the game. Ultimately, the reason people love Orcs and Orcs is simple. They're relatable. They don't just fight for gods or thrones or honor. They fight because it's fun. They do it, again, I'll say this again, for the love of the game. They're messy, they're noisy, and they don't take care of themselves at all. But that's refreshing in a universe filled with tragedy, betrayal, and apocalypses. Creatively, there is nothing like orc kit bashing. You can build a tank from old soda cans and call it a kill crusher, and it works because you think it works. The armory encourages creativity in modeling, painting, and play style. So whether you're stomping the old world with Grimgore or launching space spores with Gazgul, the Green Tide will always deliver on being the true chaos faction with laughs and carnage in equal measure. Orcs are not just a faction, they're a vibe. They're the embodiment of gaming for the fun of it. So if you've ever wanted to scream wah at the top of your lungs while rolling 100 dice, you know what to do. As always, folks, remember to junk it out. And if you like the video, please subscribe. Please like the video and have a great rest of your day. Y'all deserve it. I deserve it. Have a great day.